Hi, everyone. Welcome back to season 2 of Fueling Tomorrow. I'm your host, Erin Bailey, and today I am joined by a very special guest, Secretary Don Evans, who is our chairman for the Permian Strategic Partnership. And Secretary Evans, thank you so much for being our guest
All right,
today.
you bet. Delighted to be here.
We are so
Thank you
happy.
for having me. I'm
Yes.
honored.
Woo! We're so happy you're here.
Yeah.
We're going to get into all things PSP, but first, you have had quite the career, which started in Midland. So I want you to touch a bit on that and then tell us what you do in your current role as
Yeah, I'd be happy to, Aaron.
chair.
When you say touch a bit on it, I realized that I arrived in Midland 50 years ago, uh, a month ago today,
Oh my goodness,
in
1975, right?
1975, February the 4th.
Wow, what a
So,
day.
so it's been a long run, but it's been a great run. And I think before I go anywhere about myself, I'd like to say a few things about Diamondback.
Okay.
Because when I think about Diamondback, I think it's an organization of a company that defines why Midland is the greatest place on the planet to call home. The culture of the organization is phenomenal. Their performance is everybody knows about. Is just totally remarkable. Uh, but look, nothing gives me more joy, quite frankly, than walking into one Baskin tower in the morning and seeing the Diamondback employees, and they all have a smile on them, just like you have a smile on you right now. It's an uplifting feeling, and that's in any large organization, or whether it's an organization, a corporation, whether it's the state of Texas, where it's the United States of America. I mean, leadership helps define the culture of
Mhm.
that institution or that organization. And Diamondback has remarkable leadership. Um, Travis Stice is one of the finest human beings I'll ever know. Um, he's he's one of total integrity, one of incredible character. He's got a compassionate heart. He's a humble man. He's a remarkable leader,
Yes.
and also very smart. And so that's coming from a guy that's was chairman of the board of the University of Texas system, about a guy that went to Texas A&M.
Exactly. Yeah, duel right there.
So yeah, no, it's a remarkable company. It's a remarkable story. I'll talk about it more. They define the shale revolution, what happened, the change it meant to the world and this country and this state and this area. And so, anyway, first of all of those of Diamondback that may listen to this, my hat's off to all of you, because it is remarkable. As I say, I mean, it defines why Midland is one of the greatest places in the world to call home.
Yeah, it's a great place to
My
work.
career, yeah, I showed up here and went on a drilling rig, and I was out there for a couple of months as a roughneck. It was right after the oil embargo. Price of oil was skyrocketing. By the time I showed up here, the price of oil was $7 a barrel. 2 years earlier, it was three. Some 4 years later, it was 30. I went from being a roughneck to being the president of the company. By 1981, I was some 34 years old, and we had a larger market cap than Ford Motor Company.
Wow.
And so that was a wow,
Yeah.
as you said. It was a wow. 6 years later, it was all gone. Price of oil started to decline. It collapsed in 86. Banks were failing in 82, 83, 84, 85. So S&Ls were cratering. The whole financial system of the South collapsed. The First National Bank of Midland failed in 1983. We went from a company that had 1,600 employees to 54. And so it was all the motions of life that I lived through in the first 10 years of life,
Yes.
first 10 years of career, not life. The euphoria of seeing the dramatic growth that happened in the late 70s and ahead of the company larger than Ford Motor Company in market cap, and 5 years later, all gone. So all the emotions. I was starting a family, a career, and then saw the collapse and all the pain of that. The major oil companies left the area. We hung in there. We had some great assets, and not only in West Texas, but some great assets in the Rocky Mountains. I believed in them, believed in our team, and we marshaled on through it. And um, so I was with Tom Brown through the not only 1980s but 1990s, and started to get involved in politics at some level because of a great friend that showed up in Midland the same time I did, which was President George W. Bush. He
Hmm.
showed up about a month after I did. We became great friends.
How did you two become friends?
Well, actually, he grew up in Midland.
Yes.
Went to elementary school in Midland. He was a close friend of my wife, and they were on the school patrol together at Sam Houston Elementary.
Oh,
And so
okay.
I met him through her.
Okay.
Actually, we met in 1969, but really didn't become great friends until 1975. And then I helped him with his congressional race in 78 against Ken Hance. We finished second in a two-man race, and so that led us led him right back to the oil patch, and which is where he stayed until he went off to Washington in 1987 to help his father in his father's presidential campaign. But anyway, we became great friends there and went through life together. Have gone through life together. And in 1993, he decided to run for governor. I helped with that campaign. He won. I soon became on the chairman of the Board of Regents, the Emergency Texas
Did you
system.
move to Austin or did you stay
No,
in
no, I
Midland?
stayed here in Midland, continued with Tom Brown, and so I was chairman of the board. It was a great experience. My first year as chairman, we hired Mac Brown as the football coach, Rick Barnes as the basketball coach, Larry Faulkner as the president of the university, and Augie Garrido as the baseball coach, and John Fields as the golf coach. That was year one. And I thoroughly enjoyed those years. The president decided, governor then, wanted to run for president. He asked me if I'd help him. I said, yeah, of course I'll help you. So I was chairman of his 2000 campaign. It was the campaign. Were you around then?
I was born 93, yes. I was
Okay.
living in New York at the
I
time, but
look
I
at you, I'm
remember.
not sure you were around then, but anyway, that was 25 years ago. And so was chairman of that campaign. It was a remarkable campaign, of course. It wasn't over when we thought it was going to be over. That
Mhm.
was the campaign where you had to go count chads and all of that kind of stuff. And so it wasn't over until late November. But anyway, when he won, he asked me to come up to Washington with him and be Secretary of Commerce, which I did. Great experience. I think it was the best job in town. I could travel the world and meet world leaders and deal with world leaders like Vladimir Putin, like Xi Jinping, like Hu Jintao, and some of those. And so, but I didn't have the pressure of the White House. I was
Yes.
really just kind of an ambassador for the U.S. And look, and when I did that, I guess one thing I'd say about it, and when I traveled the world, I didn't try and tell other countries what to do. I tried to tell them what worked in America,
Mhm.
and tried to show them as best I could the compassionate heart of America. Everywhere I went, I always wanted to make sure I was touching those that were disadvantaged or underserved or needy or however you want to say it. And just because I think America's got great responsibility to lead the world, and we should, and we did all we could to show our compassionate heart. Go back to Travis. I mean, it's the same, got that same compassionate heart that
Mhm.
people see. So anyway, I was there till 2005, early 2005, and left and was out for a while. And I was asked to be the chairman of a large public utility in Texas. The name of it was Energy Future Holdings. It had just been purchased by Goldman Sachs, KKR, and TPG. It was the largest power company in the state of Texas. I thought being the chairman of a public utility probably wouldn't be too hard. So I signed on to do that in 2008. And it was a total complete bet on natural gas prices. Natural gas prices, instead of going up, they declined and then they collapsed. Energy Future Holdings was purchased at for $48 billion. We had a great team. We had two of the finest nuclear power plants in the world.
Wow.
A great, great team. But started in 2008. 2018, they came out of bankruptcy. The market capitalization went from 48 billion to 24 billion. It was the largest bankruptcy in the history of the state of Texas.
Oh my gosh.
So, and I was the chairman of that.
What a time. You've been through quite a few cycles.
So I've been through some cycles.
Yes.
Uh, but the good news of all of that is that when I did come back from Washington, I came back to Midland. That's home. And so I was able, as chairman, I was a non-executive chairman, and so I was able to live here in Midland and be chairman, and be there the appropriate amount of time, and which I did. And but 2018, it was all over with, and I thought at that time, I had a pretty healthy career, ready for retirement. Then some people like Tim Leach and a few others came around and said, we got this idea about a PSP
Mm-hmm.
and Permian Strategic Partnership, and it was clear there was something special going on in the Permian Basin by then. Of course, it really became clear in about 2013, 14, and 15. But by 2018, the companies that were in the middle of the shale revolution, as we now call it, realized that there was a lot to do out here, and they gave all their data to McKinsey, and McKinsey told them that, look, if you exercise or execute, not exercise, but if you execute your plans, um, that means that this area by 2025, which is now, would be the third or fourth largest producing area in the world if it was, or the third or fourth largest producing country in the world if the Permian Basin was a country. That's where we are.
And when you saw it at 1975, when you started, did you ever think it would be where it is today?
No, of course not. I mean, no, I mean, I did not at all. But the kind of the punchline of that is, as far as PSP is concerned, in order to execute their plans, McKinsey said you got to move into this area 300,000 people, and you can't move that many people into this area unless you have a uh, a healthy healthcare system
Mm-hmm.
for the broader Permian Basin, some 100,000 square miles, West Texas, Southeast New Mexico, and you also have to make sure there's excellence in your education system. Families are not going to move here and raise their kids here, and if the schools are not the highest of quality, and we had some challenges there, and we
Mm-hmm.
knew we did. So PSP was formed, and now we've got some 28 members, two university systems, the Texas Tech system and University of Texas system. Uh, it's just, it's been an incredible blessing for me to really be involved in it since 2018, and so we've been at this 6 or 7 years now, and it's been remarkable. And no, I didn't think that. I mean, I would tell you when I showed up here, first of all, you look at the country, we were energy scarce. Production declined from the day I arrived until in the United States, and the Permian declined until like 2013 or so, and but it's been growing ever since. And so we went from me living in a country that was energy scarce and energy dependent on other foreign sources, sometimes from enemies, for 40 years, to now a country that's energy abundant. And it changes the whole global landscape. And Diamondback's right in the center of that. And I want everybody to really grab a hold of that and appreciate that, because it is remarkable.
Hmm.
What it's stunning what has happened. It changes the whole geopolitical landscape, national security, energy security, um, um, just economic security, everything, and security of this area. If I like to say and do say that if um, this is the largest secure supply of energy in the world. When you think about where the other large supplies are, they aren't all our friends,
Yes.
and they aren't that secure to us. So when I think about it, I think about the fact this is the largest secure supply of energy in the world.
It's a good place to be right now.
It's a great place to be for that and lots of other reasons. So yeah, Aaron, you're asking about the change over my career, and it is remarkable in terms of the industry itself, but the personality hadn't changed. When President Bush and I showed up in 1975, I mean, we called this the land of the high sky, or where the sky is the limit. And there was an optimistic spirit like, you can't believe. And there was a wildcatting spirit back then. I
Yes.
mean, that's when we were really doing some legitimate wildcatting. We wildcat with technology now. We're trying a lot of new things. But back then, it was really trying to find a new oil field someplace, or an oil and gas field someplace. And but the spirit was just phenomenal throughout the even the downturn. I like to I've always point out that in the 1980s, when the industry really collapsed, banks failed. The president and I both had been involved, and were involved in the United Way. I was the chairman of the campaign in '80. He was a chairman in 1981. But throughout the '80s, when the industry and a kind of local economy was collapsing, the budget and the goal for United Way went up every year, and was met every year. So it's just that, spirit of a community that will come together to take care of its own.
Hmm.
And certainly that was true then. I mean, your word is your bond. When I came out, we had 18 drilling rigs that we were operating and running. We had like 6 contracts. 12 of the rigs were just on a handshake, and so that was that was kind of the spirit back then. Um, it's just and it's the kind of spirit that grows on you. I just share this one thing with this audience, and the president and I both experienced this. He took it straight to the White House with him. When he woke up in the morning, he'd walk into the office and sit behind the Resolute desk, and he'd look at a painting of West Texas, and it was a painting by Tom Lee, and the theme of the painting was, "I like to wake up on the sunrise side of the mountain." And it was just that positive,
Hmm.
optimistic, uplifting kind of spirit that defines this great area to live. And so yeah, the industry changed a lot. I mean, we were energy scarce. Now we're energy abundant. Production's climbing to record levels. Never been this high before in the history of the Permian Basin. Uh, but boy, the warmth of it, the friendships, the handshakes, your word is your bond. I mean, that's all still there. And um, to me, it shows up in spades when I think about Diamondback and the people at Diamondback.
And I think that's what, especially for young engineers or young employees that are coming to work in the Permian, at first they think I'm just going to do my stint in Midland, but then they really get to know the town and know the people, and then they stay.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not a Midlander, but I don't know if I'll leave now because the people are so great.
Well, they are. It is. I mean, look, life's about friendships and people and those you're around, and this place is special. But it's special because of companies like Diamondback, leaders like uh, Travis Dice and Case and others that are, part of the leadership of Diamondback. You know, uh, I work a lot with Mark Dengler, who's
Hmm.
very involved in PSP. I mean, nobody any better.
I know
He's just a world class guy.
it's a great team, and there's a lot of great things happening with the PSP being one of them. But with that, we touched on it a bit, and the PSP has 28 members. What is the primary mission of the PSP and those
Well,
organizations?
it's pretty simple. I mean, to improve the quality of life of all of those that live in the Permian Basin. I mean, it's the quality of life for all individuals, the families, the children. It's just they should have the finest health care there is anywhere. They should have the best education system in any place in this country,
Hmm.
certainly. And so it's all about building the framework for a flourishing life for every individual. And and what the companies would say that this isn't just about the employees. This is about all of those that live where they operate. Wherever they're operating, they want all those citizens that are in that area for their lives to flourish and have safe roads, have outstanding education, have outstanding schools. The schools are always focused on excellence and have world class kind of healthcare. I mean, it should. I mean, if we look at this area, when you say this is the largest secure supply of energy in the world, if we were a country, we'd be the fourth, one of the maybe the fourth largest producing country in the world.
Hmm.
The resources are phenomenal. The physical resources are, but the human resources are even better. And so, anyway, we should have the very best, and that's what this great group of members and all of those that sign up to be involved. The companies allow their employees to be involved in PSP activities, and so that's very helpful. And it's a unique organization. We're starting to get a lot of incoming calls. Hey, how did you put this together? And one of the not only is it the power of bringing all these energy companies together and the capital they provide,
Hmm.
both financial capital and human capital, but it's just uh, coming together as a partnership of competitors. I mean, thinking all of these companies in the industry, they compete against each other, yet they come together for the common good of the whole area, which is
Yes.
a great kind of spirit to have. And then, as I said, we also have two systems, University of Texas system and Texas Tech system are very much involved in it.
And with those 28 members, that has obviously grown since the start. But how does having that many members really help enhance the quality of life in Midland?
Well, let me say this: the membership started out at about I don't know 13 or 14, and then it went up to 19, and then it went down to 16. Some of that was COVID. Then it went back up, and then it came. We've had a lot of consolidation
We're
because of all the
fluctuating.
mergers, all of the
Hmm.
all the mergers. But I look, I don't just I just look. Every company contributes both capital and wisdom and judgment, and you need that, and they contribute kind of just relationships that they have that can help bring more attention to what we're doing. Um, but what I'm proud of is to be able to take this group of leaders when they're all remarkable leaders, uh, doing the right things for the right reasons, and able to leverage that idea of competitors coming together, providing capital to improve the common good and the welfare of all those that live out here, and take that thought to the city, the county, the state, and the federal government, and really drive public-private partnerships. And that's what's allowed us to be so successful in bringing capital into this area, as well as talent in this area. So the public-private partnerships we have now invested, it's about $180 million. We've brought in capital about $1.8 billion, um, and and this group has become so sound and has such a strong, I would say, kind of foundation under it now that we're starting to think about some really big ideas. For the first 4 years, we really just, how's this going to work? Are we going to be able to, move the needle or help education and help healthcare and safe roads and the roads we've come a long way.
Yes.
TxDOT and the chairman Bruce Bugg there, he's been remarkable, along with the governor. He's been very supportive of all of that, and they have just poured the capital into the infrastructure, the road infrastructure out across the Permian Basin. So I can't say enough about Bruce Bugg. He was one, and in fact he coined the phrase "the Permian Promise" as he saw what we were doing out here, and so he coined the phrase "the Permian Promise," and they talk about it in all of their TxDOT meetings. What are we doing for the Permian Promise?
Hmm.
Him realizing, trying to get the message out. The Permian Promise, they may be out there in West Texas a long way and may not have the population that we have in the central or eastern part of this state, but they're providing an incredible amount to the state of Texas. So anyway, he highlights it, and so I mean, I just think that's the leverage the Permian Strategic Partnership has, that people are just think it's remarkable that you're going to get all these competitors together to kind of do work for the common good. But yes, we're thinking about much bigger ideas on the education side. We've got some really exciting things that we're thinking about. We're having discussions with MD Anderson with the idea of
We're going to get there.
and MD Anderson coming out here. I've been involved with MD Anderson since I was chairman of the Board of Regents. That's where the fiduciary board is. I'm very close to it. I was chairman of the Board of Visitors for a couple of years, a few years back. So I don't know. We're having discussions. I hope we can do it. If we could do it, it'd be bringing the number one cancer center in the world
Yes.
right here,
Yes,
which would be remarkable.
it would be.
Mhm.
And with you mentioned it, but since 2018, the PSP has leveraged over $1.5 billion of investments into the Permian.
Mhm.
You talked about a few projects, but when you look back from 2018 to now, what project or initiative stands out to you?
Well, there's just a number of them. I mean, we got a PA program that we supported. That's a Texas Tech PA program. We've got a nursing program at University of Texas Permian Basin that we have supported. We've done a lot of education things in the public schools. One of the big winners for us very early on was Idea Schools. We
Hmm.
brought them uh, in I think 2018 is when they showed up. I remember, I think fall maybe of 18, no, probably the fall of 19 that they opened. It took a school, a Travis Elementary, that had been an F school for 6 or 7 years. Um, in a couple of years turned it into a B or B minus or C plus, or but that's 500 little kids that are in the I would say underserved part of Midland. To see all those young kids come through there and do so well and learn to read
Yes.
and all of those, that's what really gets you excited. um, I say all the time that the number one crisis we have in America today is our education system. Uh, we um, we have a reading crisis in this country. We're impacted by it here in Midland, Texas, where we've got 60% of the kids in the third grade are not reading at grade level. That's a fundamental problem. And if you lose them in the third or fourth grade, then they're lost.
Hmm.
I saw there was an article this morning in the paper about um, how our math scores are in decline in the state of Texas, and the governor's very focused on that, and I am too. It's a big deal, but one of the reasons they're in decline is because the children can't read. If you can't read, you can't learn. So, education wise, we brought in idea schools. We brought in harmony. Um, we've had some wonderful programs supporting public schools. We did one of the first big projects we invested in was in Hobbs, New Mexico, which was a career training education program and workforce program. It was a $40 million project. We funded 10 million of it, I think was the number. So we've done a lot, but look, we're laser focused on education and healthcare. I've been around the world. I know the challenges we have with other foreign countries that maybe are not our friends, and that's a problem. But it's not as big a problem as our education system.
Hmm.
It's a crisis in this country. We need to approach it like it's a crisis, and we need to fix it. And so that's kind of the spirit we have at, I would say, at PSP about education in the Permian Basin. We can't fix it for everybody, but we can help fix it right here at home.
And looking towards the future and the rest of 2025, we know the PSP is going to continue to address issues with education, workforce development, and road safety. But one of the projects that we're particularly excited about is the Permian Basin Behavioral Health Center, which is actually going to sit on land donated by Diamondback. Can you talk about what that center is going to bring to Midland?
Well, let me talk about the spirit of Diamondback first, because again, just another example of it, right? I mean, Travis Stice, his leadership, we need to improve healthcare across the Permian Basin. This is after PSP early in our life in 18, 19, 20 did an exhaustive study of healthcare in across the Permian Basin. We learned for specialty kind of healthcare needs, almost 50% of the people in the Permian Basin would leave, go someplace
Hmm.
else. Even though it's just basic fundamental health care, 25% of the people would leave. That's no good. We need to fix that. Uh, Travis, who's a leader within PSB, certainly in a very, very big way, said, well, look, we got acreage out there by Wagner Noel and UTPB and 250 acres. Why don't we commit that to a project that would improve healthcare across the Permian Basin? We set up Permian Basin Medical Center. It's got its own separate board now, and Travis is involved in that. Mark Dingler's involved in that,
Hmm.
uh, and we are, uh, and we started as a board of Permian Basin Medical Center. Okay, what do we do with this property that has been so generously donated to this cause by Diamondback? What do we do with it? And we said, well, first we got to consolidate the acreage, and so we've been doing that. We now control about 700 acres out there. And along the way, we were instrumental in funding, getting the funding locally as well as state funding for the Permian Basin Behavioral Health Center, which is a 200-bed uh, center, hospital for mental health care, critical need for Permian Basin and beyond across
Yes.
the state, across the country. But we're going to have one of the very finest right here now in our own backyard. And people that drive by there can see it's well on its way. And so that's under construction. But now we're thinking more broadly about what the master plan looks like at what we call now the Beacon Alliance.
Hmm.
People will begin to hear a lot more about the Beacon Alliance and some of the uh, those providers we're talking to around the world to come in here. I've already mentioned MD Anderson. If we, um, when you think about um, saving lives and improving healthcare, I don't know what could be much better than bringing the number one cancer center in the world right here.
Yes.
And so, hopeful, optimistic, a lot of work to be done. But if we could bring them here, it will transform healthcare. Uh, it'll transform healthcare across the Permian Basin. It will. Um, I remember talking to Travis a lot about this over the years. I mean, it was all about how do we get on a path to transform healthcare in the Permian Basin and land someday an academic medical center here.
Hmm.
And so that's the big vision. Uh, and I think it's a realistic vision. It's our vision. It's our mission to do just that. And so again, I mean, this it wouldn't be happening uh, without Diamondback and Diamondback's leadership. It just wouldn't be. I mean, I don't know what we've been doing, but it's Diamondback's leadership has been absolutely central to it, absolute key to it.
We're lucky that we have them. And I'm lucky I get to work for them. But with that vision, how will that truly transform the quality of life in Midland and the Permian Basin for years to come?
It will bring in, if you can land MD Anderson here, it will bring in other elite healthcare providers. That will put us on the map of providing the specialty health care that citizens depend on when they have issues that are beyond just, I've got a sore throat
Hmm.
or I've got a broken arm or, it will bring in other elite healthcare providers and it will be the center for providing healthcare out across the 100,000 square miles. We've got a very active program now looking at rural healthcare, and we have Deborah Burks involved with it. She is um, she's one that I know through the Bush Center. I know her through federal government. She was one that was one of the designers of PEPFAR, which is President Bush's big program that saved some 26 million lives in Africa.
Wow.
And so she has taken or is taking lessons learned from PEPFAR and going to apply them across the Permian Basin to show her spirit. An example of it, she went to Crane, Texas last summer, August, and knocked on doors and would tell whoever came to the door, I want to weigh you, I want to take your blood pressure, and I want to check you for diabetes. And she did that, got results that she thought she would get. It's amazing anybody would allow her to do
Yeah, I
it,
know.
but
Yeah.
anyway, a a lot of them did.
I
It's
mean, that's amazing.
it is amazing. It's totally incredible. But anyway, and what happened was the data showed that in Crane, Texas, um, pre-diabetic, 56% of the population in Crane is 56 is pre-diabetic.
Wow.
The federal government would tell you 20% is. That's what they say in rural part of the country is pre-diabetic.
And that's a big
She
difference.
knew it was a lot higher.
Hmm.
If you get control of that ahead of that early, you keep people, you save their life, you keep them off of dialysis, and they're healthier, more productive member of their local community, a healthier member of the workforce. So anyway, it's an exciting. We're early. We're going to Pecos next. I do think it's the kind of program that is certainly will get some national recognition, the work she's doing, but it's how this Beacon Alliance will be at the center of it. It'll be the hub of it. Through technology, um, Telemedicine, yes. Texas Tech is great at telemedicine. But through technology, you'll be able to monitor these individuals through little monitoring devices, home kind of monitoring devices. And so you can track individuals across the Permian Basin and tell them what their levels are and help them monitor their levels so that, they don't face the, the tough situation of being on dialysis and becoming a full-blown diabetic
Hmm.
and other challenges too. So anyway, the Beacon Alliance will be the center of all that. That will be the brain center will be right there and all the monitoring and all the rest. But I mean, one step further though, you still have to be out amongst them. You got to look at them. You got to touch them. You got to care for them. And so we're working on a program right now that's exciting. That I think we will have a physical facility, a building where people can go to in each county in the Permian Basin.
Wow. It's an exciting time to
It
be
is.
in Midland. It's an exciting time for what's to come. And when you think about all the work that PSP is doing, are there any projects or initiatives that you haven't mentioned that you want to touch on?
Well, I mean, there are a number of, and we're really getting deep into how do we attack the problem of reading, and so we got some pretty big ideas around that right now. Not in a position to really disclose a lot at this moment, but we're thinking really big. We're thinking big to the standpoint of we want to be a model for others to look at and share with them because and show how you can turn it around and I think we can. I think we will. It's going to take some time, but that's yeah. We got some really exciting kind of ideas in that area, and there's just not an idea. We're moving along with them, and I'll say one other thing about that. Um, South Texas, that region of South Texas, they used to be dead last in the state of Texas. Now they're first. And so it just shows it can be done.
Hmm.
If you get the citizens involved, families involved, the right leadership involved, um, then you can turn it around. And what they did was they brought competition into the market. They bought idea schools into there and other charters. But you look at that public school system now, and it's thriving. They have what they call collegiate high schools that are um, fantastic. I mean, one of the collegiate high schools, you can, if you want to be in healthcare, you want to be a nurse or a pharmacist or a doctor or whatever it is, this is a high school you ought to go to. And you go to that high school and you graduate and you go on, you get a scholarship coming out of that high school. And they got a lot of wonderful things going on there, some of which we're thinking about. We're certainly got, we like their collegiate high school ideas a lot. Um, and so, yeah, we got a lot of but the big one is reading.
All right, Don, and we cannot end the episode without talking about the amazing staff you work with at the
Yeah,
PSP. So tell us about that.
it is amazing. It's a incredible group led by an amazing leader and Tracy Bentley. She's special. She is, I've been around a lot of leaders in my lifetime, and she's among the very best. Uh, Recognized as being one of the best. She's even serving on the Federal Reserve Board of Dallas now. So anyway, she's fantastic. She's been my partner in this from really the very beginning, and she's got a wonderful group that she leads. And let me just tell you this. I mean, she is she's got a tremendous amount of energy. She's covering the 100,000 square miles of Permian Basin, going out as far as Carlsbad, New Mexico, and
Hmm.
I couldn't be happier and prouder for her, quite frankly. She's special. We have a special team. I this has been great, Aaron, having this podcast with you. I just say to the group one more time what the mission of PSP
Yeah.
is, which is to enhance the quality of life for all the citizens of the Permian Basin. We want them to all live a flourishing life, and we focus on education and healthcare and road safety and workforce. But I just have to mention one more time how important teaching children to read is. I think that education and the education system is the biggest crisis that this country faces today. And we're not exempt from that here in Midland, Texas. 60% of the children in the third grade cannot read at grade level. The problem is surveys show that 92 or 3% of the parents think that they can read at grade level.
Wow.
So this is something we have to do something about. And believe me, we at PSP, we're laser focused on this. We have some pretty big ideas of what we want to do to attack this specific problem, teaching children to read, because as they say, if you cannot read, you cannot learn. So that's at the top of our list. Healthcare is important, road safety is important, developing workforce is important, but I don't think there's anything more important than teaching children to read.
I agree. Readers are leaders. That's what you always hear, and it's
That's
true.
it. That's it.
Well, Don, thank you so much for coming to chat with us today.
You bet, Aaron. Been a
I,
delight.
I appreciate all the knowledge you shared, and we hope to chat with you again soon.
Good. I look forward to that.
Yeah,
Looking forward to see the Diamondback employees ride up and down the elevator with me. That's always a great way to start the day.
agreed. Well, on behalf of Don and myself, that does it for this episode of Fueling Tomorrow. We'll chat with you next time.